for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce Ms. Harpreet Datta. Ma'am is currently associated with ABC Consultants as the Executive Director and Chief People Officer, which has multiple businesses in the recruitment consultancy space. Ma'am has more than 18 years of rich corporate experience in talent acquisition and management, HR operations, training and development, and organization development interventions. A firm believer of appropriate talent acquisition and development, Ma'am is of the view that the people function plays a strategic role in building and strengthening organizations, especially during dynamic and challenging business conditions. Ma'am is an honors graduate in Commerce from Sri Ram College of Commerce and Masters in Commerce from the University of Delhi. Ma'am has done her postgraduate diploma in Business Management from the Institute of Management Technology, Ghaziabad, with majors in both Human Resource Development and Finance. Prior to joining ABC Consultants, Ma'am was working as the VP HR with WWIL, a Z Network company. Ma'am has also had prior work experience with Religare Wellness Limited, Fortis Health World Limited, a retail major as Head Human Resources and Training, the Energy and Resources Institute, Engineers India Limited, and ANZ Grindlays Bank. Ma'am, I welcome you to enlighten the student managers with your words of wisdom. The podium is all yours. Thank you.
I would like to call upon Mr. Hemendra Singh, Director, Balaji Institute of Management and Human Resource Development, to welcome Ma'am with a bouquet of flowers.
Hi, a very good afternoon to all of you. Wow, that's a very nice afternoon. And you've had a nice lunch? I'm told I have a challenge to keep you all awake. So I hope you're going to help me win the challenge, because I do think I have a presentation, a concept that may be of relevance to all of you. The way we could do it is I run you through a concept that I have that I would like to present to all of you, and we could follow it up with a few questions as and when. Yeah? And so if I get it right, I have 45 minutes? Yeah, okay. So let's get to the job. And why do you think I would have picked a topic like talent acquisition? Quick one, yeah? We have 45 minutes and a lot of ground to cover. Yeah? Is it a topic only for the HR professionals? No, yes. Who says no? So there are a good number of you who believe that this is a topic only for the HR professionals. No. Is it relevant for marketing professionals, finance professionals? Wow, okay. You've been taught well. Okay. So I think this trend, the idea is to help you see the trends in talent acquisitions. What I'm going to try to do in this session is to try to build a bridge between the institutes, the student committee, and the corporate organizations. The way we at the corporate see it, I was also equally a student once, right, in one of the institutes. So I'm going to try to see how we can build a bridge between the corporates and the students and the institutes here. Yeah, does that make sense to all of you? So good. So let's get to the topic straight away. I'm going to make a statement saying, people are not the most valuable assets. You agree, you don't? Okay, let me reframe the question. People are the most important resources, valuable resources. Hands up. Okay, again, you've been taught well, but I don't agree with you. I say no, people are not the most valuable resources. Okay. Okay, so good. Brownies for all of you guys who say the right people. Yes, the right people are. Because if the right people, the right is the important word, effective is the more important word, relevant is the more important word, was not needed. We are a country of 120. Yes. we should never have a talent crunch. But I can assure you, speaker after speaker, especially people who work in the space of human resources, must tell you and must be telling you that getting the right people in their organizations, whether it's at the entry level, whether it's at the mid level, whether it's at the senior management level, has always been a challenge. The demand for the right sort of people has more often than not always exceeded the supply of the relevant sort of skill sets into organizations. Okay? And I'm making a very generic statement out here. And what do we at ABC Consultants do? For those of you who've been there in the industry, have been working, you must have heard about us. We were the #1 recruitment consulting firm in this country. We brought in recruitment consulting into this country. So our founder, Dr. Bish Agarwal, was the first man who thought about recruitment as a business for India. So we are the pioneers. We are even today. We were established 43 years back. Even today, 43 years down the line, we still maintain our #1 supremacy in this space. Yeah, now all of you are going to say, ma'am, jobs for us. But interestingly, we specialize in the mid and senior most levels of recruitments. And our really honest strength is not in the bottom of the pyramid or the junior level, entry level hiring. Having said that, we carry with us the experience of having worked across sectors. When I say across sectors, I mean from PHL, what we call the pharmaceuticals, healthcare, life sciences, BFSI, FMCG, CRS, engineering, aerospace, defense. What would I say? I mean, there's hardly a sector. Telecom, for those of you who are doing the specialization in the telecom industry here. So there is this whole space, media, entertainment. We work across the industries, and our recruitment consultants specialize in this space of finding the appropriate talent from the market for the organizations. So we equally, as an organization, we bridge the gap between the industry requirements and the talent that's available in the market. And I can assure you it's not as easy as it looks from the, at the outset. So coming back to this, so we believe that we have the experience, expertise to and understand recruitment and talent acquisition as a space. Okay, so we have found one of the key learnings is the right sort of people are the most important, the resources. So how do you end up being right? So let me, before answering that question for you, let me just take you back to a perspective. And this slide goes especially for those who are in the non-HR specialization fields. Could be from finance, marketing, could be international business, telecom, whoever. Look at this slide carefully. There's this whole thing called talent, a word which we used to call manpower a few years back, and now we call it the talent. The talent paradigm has essentially 4 huge building blocks, and each one of them has grown to be a super specialization going forward. So there's a first part of the talent paradigm which is called the acquisition space. That's finding the right people for the right jobs. And of course, it has the HR planning, number of people you need, where do you need them, do we need them at all? And I'm sure you hear a lot of industry trend routers saying that there's not much of hiring happening now, right? The hiring has gone slow, so a lot of companies reducing in the need to reduce costs are actually going slow on their hiring plans. Yes, so there was a time when manpower planning or talent acquisition planning was done a lot more systematically. Going forward, what has happened is that this has become a very, very dynamic area to work in. Because what you plan, let's say 6 months back, the market changes. The dynamics of the market change. There are more complexities involved. So you're almost relooking your talent acquisition plans on a quarterly basis or even on a monthly basis, relooking, realigning as per market trends. And of course, there's a whole policies around talent acquisition. So which sort of organization or institutes we associate with, where should we pick our talent from, what sort of people should we hire, what sort of education should they have, and that whole piece around the acquisition. The second major pillar is the talent management part. Once we've identified the right person for a job, we get the person in, and then we're looking at how to work with this person. And this could have all the systems of management could all, it's the fundamentals of HR operations, as we call them, or you could call them, there's another function called performance management, rewards and recognitions, career development, and a whole lot of those set of, these are just indicative sub-blocks that I've given to you, put up to you. And then there's a third pillar that we call is a development piece. Of course, we have hired the person we think is best suited for a job, but is that good enough? Is that person ready to give you the output, give the organization the maximum productivity, creation of value, or creative solutions that are needed? Maybe, maybe not. So organizations have invested, and do they understand the organization's way of work? For example, anyone who's been in the FMCG or who has worked in this space knows the culture of Coke is very different from the culture of Pepsi, for example. The culture of Hindustan Lever is very different from the culture of Procter & Gamble or whatever. And hence the differences, and when the organizations hire a same candidate who is right for one organization may not be the best fit for the other organization. So there's this whole fitment issue of right talent in the right place, in the right culture, doing the sort of work that's a win-win for the organization and the employee. It meets the organization needs, and equally does it help build the individual's career and fulfills his or her career and job aspirations. You know, growth aspirations, development aspirations. So there's a whole talent development as a piece. So the way you have this concept of special focuses on leadership development, capability management. I'm capable of doing, let's say, X units of work in a month or in a day. Can that just get better by having some business enablers? Can they get better if there were more business tools put into it? Can they get better if we had more systems built around the processes, fundamental process of the organization? So that's where the capability management, organization development, learning and development initiatives all fall into this third major pillar. And the fourth pillar, as I call it, is the talent retention. We have hired the best talent. We have ensured that he or she has boarded in well into our organization, has been inducted well, has understood the culture, has got synergistic into the organization, and he or she is growing and is in a position of taking up the next level of positions. But can I hold that talent in my organization? Or is there someone sitting out there in the market who would be willing to pay an X amount more, or give a better career growth, or give better exposure? So it's equally become a dynamic challenge for HR professionals and business managers to ensure they're able to retain talent which is relevant to the organization and to them. So there's a whole piece. And let me tell you something. A few years back, when I started my career in the HR line, I was not ever clued in to do talent retention. It was not part of our job to do it. It was always believed that people would be retained. But today, HR functions, departments are having to actively come out with creative solutions. So if every organization, if you work, let's say, in organization A, and that organization celebrated your birthday, now today, X, Y, Z, everyone is doing that. So how do you differentiate yourself? Is that any longer a retention tool? No. So is only sending a nice bouquet home going to help? No. Right? So now, what was unheard of a few years back have almost in many ways become fundamentals of some, it's almost like an SOP that most organizations would end up following, but a necessary SOP. But at the same time, organizations, management, HR departments are constantly focused to relook and re-energize themselves and think of solutions or alternatives where they can retain their best talent. And remember, the best talent is not just held by giving a better salary. As you go up the hierarchy of your career, what happens is monetary remunerations are necessary, but they are not the only things that help retain talents. very often the culture of an organization, the opportunities of growth that are available, the platforms that are available in an organization have become more critical to retention of talent in the organizations. So you have a lot of employee engagement programs, and you have a lot of branding and organization culture. So you would see that, interestingly, HR guys who think that they are not going to be doing anything concerned with marketing, remember, half the time you're marketing your organization. And if marketing people think that others don't understand marketing, sorry guys, let me rob you out of that happiness of yours. There are other professions which are equally marketing. The only difference is we market to our employees. As HR professionals, we market to the candidates in the market. Why should you join my organization and not some other organization? There has to be a value proposition. Isn't that what you at marketing are taught? Yeah? There has to be a value proposition. What am I doing sometimes when I'm talking to you? When I talked about my organization, I was subtly marketing my organization to you. What does your institute do when it calls people like us from the industry? It is marketing your institute to us. Call it by whatever name you want. Yeah? So when this marketing or brand building is something HR functions are having, in fact, one of my jokes to my colleagues, my marketing heads have always been, what do you market? Yeah, we are the guys who are marketing our organizations day in and day out with candidates and prospective employees and our own internal employees. So that even if they leave us, they remain our brand ambassadors. You want that person to leave your organization if needed, but go out and say all the right things about you so that there's someone else who's looking at us as a possible employer is happy to join us back, is happy to associate with us. So I think this whole talent paradigm is about these 4 major pillars of acquisition, management, development, and retention. And why I'm highlighting this is more for the non-HR people, because I'm sure HR guys are studying it in and out. Non-HR professionals to understand that your careers, whether you like it or not, is very often defined or is enabled by your colleagues in the HR functions. You may not today see the direct relationship, but that's the way it happens in organizations. So taking this forward, what is talent acquisition from an organization point? Talent acquisition about is attracting, sourcing, recruiting, and hiring employees within the organization. This includes employment branding, outreach, networking. You'll be surprised at the number of HR professionals who tell you that they hire more from LinkedIn, who hire more from Facebook, who are beginning to hire through Twitter. I mean, where were these sources before? And I'm sure if those of you who are keeping abreast with the market and who are updating yourselves constantly, you keep hearing it that please be careful of what you put up in the Facebook. It could cost you a job. You know, because a personality assessment is happening right out there. So especially at a phase in your career when you are at that space, you know, in the threshold of, or in the bridge between academics to a real life work environment, it may help to be a little more prudent about it. So it's all about this. Talent acquisition is about getting the right person on the job. Now you would say, okay, you get the right person, but what would be the criteria? It's completely competency driven. There's a job, there are descriptions of the job. For example, I had one of your colleagues talk to me and say, oh, you know, this is what we do. But I said, interestingly, we don't hire at those levels. So we don't end up creating jobs there. But what we end up doing is there's a job, and there are certain analysis. We need a person with 5 years experience, 10 years experience, with a marketing experience, who has worked in FMCG companies, who has at least done 2 years of leadership positions, who has at least managed a team of 10 people, because this job requires that the person has to manage a team of 20 people. It is a pan-India role. So if these are the competencies required of the job, then does the candidate, the prospective candidate, hold those competencies? In today's times, let me tell you, this is going to be very critical. At times when the market is relatively tough, and let me tell you, the market is not out and gone, But an important information for all of you would be that the market is slower. And this I'm talking from the hiring perspective. And who better to say that than us, who are the recruitment consultants, because our business depends on that. So it's not as though the positions have been put on hold. It's just that the positions take far longer to culminate into, offers. So the process is longer. There's a lot of wait and watch. So and in such times, what do you think is going to make the difference? What are the sort of people who are going to make it to the other end, who is going to get the job? Pardon? Pardon? The right people, competent people. Basically, it's going to be a war for the fittest. How many people in this room here? 500, 600, whatever. You're all at one level competing with each other for a job. Just move out of this one institute. How many institutes in India? Yep. Thanks for getting very encouraging statistics. Okay? And you look at the opportunities that are available in the market. The jobs are going to be a little more tougher to get, not impossible. And that's something I'm told I should share with you. I mean, I need to be honest here, that. And equally, but the job is going to go to the fittest person. So there are going to be jobs. It's just that today the tolerance or the benchmark is going to increase big time. We're not going to be hiring the next person who walks in through the doors. We're going to be anyway hiring with caution. We may be taking a little longer. If I took a month to hire, I may take 2 months to hire now. So if your placement committee comes back to you and says, you know what, it's taking longer for the organization to come back to us, they're actually telling you the truth. Because actually it's taking longer for organizations to get back and say, yes, this is the candidate we want to hire. So there is a time lag that's increasing. And more than that, the criteria of hiring is going to get stiffer. And look at it from an organization point of view. The organization today has a choice, initially, let's say, of 100 people. Today it has a choice of 200, 300 people to look at. And am I going to make an offer to the first person who walks in through the door? No. Why should I? Am I in a hurry to close a position tomorrow? No, the market is slow. I can afford to be a little slower. There are times when we have a job position, we hire in a week. There are positions that have to be closed in a week's time because suddenly we've got a project that was lying latent and it gets up and suddenly you want people to be there on board. And you not only need one person, you need a team of, let's say, you have been sitting on a new area, entering a new area, or maybe we wanted to enter Rajasthan, we have not. We suddenly decided we wanted to and suddenly it all works. Sometimes you're hiring very, very fast. But there are times like this, you will say, okay, let me wait and watch. Okay, let me meet 2 more candidates. Put out the best ones to me. So here, the word for all of you, and I think which you should take seriously, is going to be the war for talent. And here, the fittest is going to survive. And when I use the word fittest, it really means fit. Okay? And when I mean fit, and I hear this very often, I heard it even today morning, someone said that, you know what, our education is theoretic. We really don't have the practical exposure. And me being me had to respond back saying, listen, if you wanted exposure, why did you get into an institute? You should have gone into the job market and worked. Why are you wasting 2 years in an educational institute if all you want is experience? Do education institutes, are they expected to give you experience or are they expected to give you knowledge, build your conceptual base? Answer me. So guys, why are you asking the institutes to give you experience? Nothing wrong with balancing it off. I'm not saying experience is not relevant. But the primary purpose of educational institutes and academics is to educate. And let me also tell you, let me also do another blinker for all of you. Just give it a thought once again. If you get into the job market today, till which age do you expect to work? 45. Oh, wow. I wish you were rich enough by then to take life easy. Okay, 45. Anybody else? 55? 60? 70? 60? No, 70 too old, right? 60? Good. What's your age today? Average age of the batch? Okay, let's say we go by the friend who is most ambitious and who thought that he could make a lot of money and wanted to relax the second half of his life. Even then, that gives you 25 years of work life. And for those of you who wanted to work up to 55, add another 10 years, it's 35 years of work life. Some of you want to work till 60, that's 40 years of work life. And what are you going to do in that work life? Experience. And you don't want to spend 2 years just acquiring the conceptual base for educating yourself? You'll say, no ma'am, we do. That's why we are an educational institute. So my answer to you is, so make the best use of this opportunity that life has given you. And build your muscle, this muscle strength in the next 2 years so that you are among the fittest that the market has. So, the call to all of you is, whether you're the first year students or whether in the second year, please remember the fittest is going to survive in a market which is chaotic, which is changing, which is tentative, which really can't tell you, when the Prime Minister of this country can't tell you that the growth rate of this country is going to be. Why this Prime Minister? Can anybody in the world predict what the next 6 months are going to be like? No. If anybody could do that, I can assure you the whole world would be falling at that person's feet. So no one's able to predict it. In such a market, what is likely to happen is the tentativeness of the market is going to be a little difficult to handle if you're not prepared for the tentativeness. And equally, what is going to happen is that people who think that we will also pass through, just because I have a degree called MBA in my hand, I should be having a job. Sorry guys, you may be woken out of that illusion very, very fast. Because that paper is not going to make the difference. What is going to make the difference is you yourself. So, the whole process of a job and the competency that you carry is what is going to become critical in the next few years probably. But it always was, it's just that now it's more sharper. Now organizations are unlikely to compromise. Isko bhi le lo. Unlikely to happen. Because everyone they're investing on is an investment. They're going to be very cautious with an investment on not only physical assets, but equally on their human assets. They are going to be cautious about it. And you will have to bear in this placement season, and hopefully this maybe will change around fast, is longer durations of hire. So from the first time you meet an organization to the time you get an offer, may actually take longer. I knew the time when I had joined, that was 95, I was among the, I should now say, lucky batches, which saw MBAs rise. That was the sunrise year. You know, that was year of sunrise. We had an interview in the morning. In the afternoon, we had an offer letters in hand. Companies were not, they wanted us to sign in right there and say accepted before they could even go back home. They wanted your commitment right then. They didn't want to lose you. But today, the market has changed. And that's a reality. So today, it's like, it may take longer for the offers to come. Hold patience, they will come. And if you're good with what you do, you will definitely get it either this way or through that. Competence also, in my own experience, let me tell you, competence never gets hidden. Talent always, and I'm making a very strong statement, talent always and always necessarily finds its space. It may not be right now, it may be a few months later, so don't panic. So give yourself that opportunity and the time to grow. Use that time to develop yourself, grow yourself, be competitive, acquire knowledge. I was one day having a conversation with my daughter, and I said, tell me, MBA institutes, she's the third year of college, MBA institutes, and one MBA institute, students who pass out of one MBA institute, come out and get a job of 2.5 lakhs. There's another MBA institute from which students come out, and they get a job of 4.5, 5 lakhs. There's another MBA institute from students come out, and they get a job of about 7 to 8 lakhs, and there's another one which gives you an average job of 20 lakhs. What is the difference? They all follow the same curriculum or a similar curriculum. They all follow similar standard learning methodologies. Most of them do. Okay, so tell me what's the difference? Quality of what? Branding, okay. Discipline? Disciplined students. Hey, that's too many of you. Institute? Talent? Attitude? Good students? Knowledge? Everything else on the other side, guys. None of you said us. Yeah, competence. See, what does happen is, of course, I understand. And how did those of you who said brand, how many, tell me one thing, did that brand get built of its own? What built that brand from, let's say, okay, consistent? Yes. Consistently bringing out, it's not a once in a flash pan. This year, बहुत अच्छे students हैं. अगले साल ठीक है. तीसरे साल चलता है. No, not that. Consistently bringing out outstanding students, either from the process of selection at the entry level into the MBA Institute to the end point. But also let me tell you, in that same batch, which of the Premium Institute, tell me another, answer this question. Why does one person get a job of 30 lakhs and the other of 7 lakhs? I'm talking the same institute. Why? Potential talent, yeah. That person, that student, that prospective employee is the differentiator. He is not expected to answer questions. If you ask him a question, him or her a question of, you know, what's the population of India, that all of us know, right? He or she would have the knowledge and would have acquired it systematically over a period of time to be different and better than the rest. So even in a batch of students, let's say all of you sitting here, and I wish each one of you all the best, there are some among you who are going to shine, and you're going to shine because you made that effort to want to shine. Do you see that difference? Or do you say that it's your institute which is not providing you with the opportunity? If you're saying that, I'm telling you, you're on the wrong path. Because you're going to always, more often than not, end up telling the other person, the institute, opportunity nahi hai, market theek nahi hai, you know, faculty hamari theek nahi thi, hamara infrastructure kam tha. I'm not talking about Balaji as an institute, I'm talking about it for all students across management educations. You would always put the blame on the other side. And the important thing here is, in a market like this, is to build your muscle. So please remember, I'm driving home an important point through various thought processes, trying to tell you that this is a market which is going to ask you to apply yourself big time. And if you think you can pull strings and work through, you may be able to pull the strings once, twice, but you can't build a career on that. It is you who are going to make that difference. So there is going to be this job analysis and competency approach. The competency here is going to become more critical for all of you. And from an organization's point, let me tell you quickly how we at the organizations think. We first define the talent acquisition policy, strategy rather. We say, you know what, this is what we want to do, this is a space we want to work in, this is the sort of people we need to acquire, and we need, so let's say sales, for us, sales is different from business development. Business development is different from key account management. Key account management is different from mega account management. And all of them are considered to be sales jobs, getting in business. So there's more, if you look at it, the job itself is getting sliced very finely. You know, the competencies required are getting more niche. You're focusing sharper on the competencies you require of the person. So are you as students and prospective employees tuned into a thing like that? Marketing is opening in many ways, and building relationships has never been easier. Now, these are the times for you, and these are good news for all of you. is that today organizations are not just hiring only through traditional walk-in interviews or campus placements. There is a widespread of relationships that are getting built. So if you look at it, this is something around which organizations acquire talent. Let me tell you some of the sources through acquired talent. For those of you who believe that organizations hire only from campuses, again, that's just one of the routes that we hire through. We hire through an employee referral policy. Now, most sensible organizations who have seen it would have an employee referral policy, which means I'm an employee of this organization. I know there's a vacancy. I can refer a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, anything, and make a good amount of money. In our organization, because I know the sort of recruitment consultants we need are less, you can make even a lakh of rupees just by referring an employee. You refer an employee, we find him or her good, we make an offer, the person joins us, no questions asked, I'll give you a lakh of rupees. So, are there going to be internal referrals? Yes, there are going to be internal referrals. Campus recruitment is one of the processes. Job portals, of course. Okay, interestingly, third party. What are we at EBC Consultants? We are third party. We are you may call them, in some terminology it's called vendors. We are equally your business partners. We are your business consultants. We help you find. For example, in our own organization, I put up these 4 logos. In fact, have any of you heard about Head Honchos? Yes. Okay, good. I'm happy you did. It's our portal. It is the job portal of ABC Consultants that focuses only on senior hires. Unfortunately, here there's no entry-level positions, but you know the other job portals which are very famous. Organizations like Naukri, Times, Monster, Shine, there's a world of them sitting around there. Organizations equally hire through them. Third party, again, we have, I don't know, let me give you a small quick view into what recruitment industry is like. Since I'm here, it may just benefit you. The recruitment industry is like another pyramid, like any other organization is. And it's sliced into 3, there are 3 broad categories, or 4 broad categories, if I may call it. Right at the top of the pyramid, which is the CXO hires. The CXO hires and the topmost hiring happens through what we call search consultants. That's the terminology used. That's hand-picked, selected people. Like you want to hire a CEO for an organization. I think Varun was here, was talking about Dr. Reddy's. Let's say Dr. Reddy's tomorrow wanted a head of marketing. It wanted a CEO to run a business. It wanted something like that. They would go to a search consultant. So one of our own search consulting business is our Chairman's High Circle, which is a CHC business that we call. There's another one, which is the mid to senior level hires. That is taken care of by most of the recruitment consulting firms. And the word, again, that may interest, especially the HR professionals, is a word called selection. That's the space of mid and junior hires where consulting partners are brought in to help them find talent for those positions in the mid of the organization. And then I have shown you a triangle there called headcount. That is a business. Let's say tomorrow, Infosys, okay, HUL is our regular partner. We do significant business with HUL. HUL, let's say, decided that it wanted to hire 700, 800 sales professionals in the beginning of the year. Yeah, they just give it to us, 700 positions, we take it on, we help them fill the positions fast. So that's like a bulk hiring, or at the bottom of the pyramid, volume hiring, we call it. And so there's that business also that we run. And flexibility, this is something which may interest many of you, and this is something which I want to talk about later in some time, is we have a business called flexibility. Flexibility is a business called RPO. Have you heard of the word RPO? Yes? BPO? BPO also you've not heard? Yes. Okay. KPO? LPO? No. LPO, no. Yes. What's that? Yes. Learning process outsourcing. E-learning. Okay. Interestingly. Okay. Legal process outsourcing. Okay, good. So there's a newer terminology in the market, relatively new, I would say, called RPO. What's this? Recruitment process outsourcing. So today what happens? A large organization says, you know, I'm into the pharmaceutical space. I know how to make medicines. I also know how to distribute them. Why the hell am I getting into hiring people? That is not my core competence. Many organizations, if you know, again this is a conversation we had, have outsourced their payrolls, right? Is it unheard of for payrolls to get outsourced? No, it's almost a common phenomena. It really doesn't matter whether you have it in-house or you outsource the process. Similarly, organizations which hire in numbers and in volumes have realized across the globe, and across the globe it's a very well-accepted phenomena, is that they think that we are not the experts on recruitment or hiring, let's call in the experts. So they come into organizations like us and say, you know what, we've got this whole recruitment, it's very sapping us of our energy and time. You know what about it. Why don't you guys come in, take over my recruitment function, do it for us. Last round, I'll meet the candidates and I'll say, okay. The whole of the recruitment process gets outsourced. Interestingly, our employees sit at the client organization spaces, work almost as if they were the client's employees, work in the interest of the client organization, and hire for them. Now you would say, what, do you work on, you know, sort of percentages, what? No, this is a very interesting concept. If an HR head or an organization spent 100 rupees on hiring, okay, on your own, and you said that I'm the expert, you were the client and I am the expert, you call me in, you would say, you know what, if you reduce the cost to 90 rupees, I will give you 5 rupees. So it's a very different model. So why do they get an RPO or a third party into their organizations? Because they are the experts, they know how to function it, and they are expected to do the same job at higher efficiencies and lower costs. And then they say, if you have saved 10 rupees, I'll give you 5. You save 20, I'll give you 10. You save 30, I'll give you maybe 20. And that's the way the maths goes around. So there's another business of ours called flexibility. I'm introducing this to you with a thought that you want to have. So of course you have the advertisements, and social media, as I told you, is catching up big time. Okay, so guys, all of you enter. I'm sure most of you have your accounts, but LinkedIn, at least at these times, I'm not there. I'm not paid commissions from them. I don't receive anything from them. But today, for any professional to be visible, LinkedIn is something you need to get in early, get into your other social media networks, and watch out for what you do there. So it's not only important about being there, but it's equally important about what you do in that social media as an organization. So as I said, at an organization level, we have challenges of demand and supply, of the specification of the job in itself, our budgetary challenges. So let's say very often we have institutes who come to us and say, you know what, why don't you consider us for a business partner or as a relationship and hire from us? I would say, what's your average salary like? They would say, our students expect X amount. And I'm saying, listen, I can, at this level for this job, I'm willing to pay, let's say, X minus 10. Are you willing to consider it? They say, no, it brings our institute's average down. I say, okay, think about it and come back. Okay, so there are budgetary challenges that organizations face. So it's not that they don't want to give you more. It's just that they need to run their business. They need to get their debit and credit in place, right? So there is that challenge. And of course, lack of adequate, authentic databases. One reason you should be happy about why organizations come straight to campuses, because we're assured of the quality of the students, and a certain minimum benchmark has already been achieved through the process of entry and training that's happened through the institutes. And of course, technology tools and varying degrees of, some companies have larger brands, some have lesser visibility, but so there are all these challenges that organizations face in attracting talent towards themselves. Again, at a sourcing level, the overall strategy is there, jobs, emotional intelligence of the people themselves, and all of these are things that have challenges. But let me come to what will impact you. So this is, I was just talking to you about how an organization would look at it. So why is it important to you? If you understand how an organization hires and acquires the talent, you can align yourself to that machinery. So there is this whole networking. We very often underestimate this thing called networks. Whether they are social networks, whether they're professional networks, these networks have become very important now, including social media networks, have become very important now to build relationships, especially at a professional level. So also, organizations are even today attracting their own talent pool, their own employees. We tell our employees, why don't you refer someone? Why don't you tell us about somebody else who can do this job? You know what this job entails. And I'm telling you, a few years back in HR, this was a taboo. A few years back, if you went back to your HR manager and said, you know what, there's this cousin of mine who's looking out for a job, the HR manager would look at you and say, why would I consider your cousin? But today, if you actually went up to your HR manager and said, you know what, there's a cousin of mine who's looking for a job and I think she has the qualifications and the competence you're looking for, the HR manager is more likely to say, oh, why do something, send me the CV and ask her to meet me sometime next week. You know, the thought process has changed. The fundamental way of approaching talent and acquiring talent has undergone change. And I've seen it in my own career. And of course, you keep, funneling, reviewing your funnel of talent, and we do that. So I'm not going to go into the details of this, but what I am going to address is the scenario which was there in this quarter 2012. The year-on-year hiring activity has been like this. The jobs have been going up, but if you see, the growth has not been exponential. It has been the growths have been sporadic. So if you saw 09, there was actually a dip. And you know what happened in 09, right? Yeah. So there's been a dip, but so it's almost, if you say, given another year, we would plateau out there. It almost looks like the trend is going to plateau. But that's the way we are on the hiring trend. Hiring trend of this has been, interestingly, 12% more than April 2011. So that's why I said there's nothing much to panic, but sure to stand up and look alert, because the market in the first quarter has actually increased. And some sectors have actually grown, have been consistent in the growth, which is IT, software, and banking, but not financial services, okay? I'm using the word banking here, not financial services. So the market has been steadily growing there. Also, companies like job index for pharma, auto, telecom, insurance has been positive. Contrary to our belief that telecom has actually fallen, they've actually hired. There's a lot more panic in the market than has actually been there, is my estimate. Telecom has actually hired during this period. So if you looked at a sectoral analysis, you can just go back and see the IT software has actually grown, BPO ITS has dropped, construction engineering has again relatively dropped, auto has gone up, banking has actually gone up. Actually, financial services, I'm told, from my personal engagement with my professional specialists at the recruitment, say that financial services is actually very iffy. Right now, oil and gas has shown a downward trend. Telecom, you would be surprised, has actually not fallen, it fell last time, but now it doesn't seem to be, it's at least there. Insurance has gone down relatively. Pharma has gone up. So this is a sectoral-wide analysis. Let me go through a functional analysis for you. The IT space has gone up relatively. Sales and business development has gone up. BPO gone down. Accounts and finance gone up. HR and admin gone up. Project, why has gone down? Many projects have gone on a cold storage. Marketing and advertisement, why would it go up in difficult times? To sell the same amount, you need to make more efforts. In fact, HR and admin goes up because there's a very funny joke that goes around in the HR fraternity on the business circles, is that when the business is good, you need to hire When the business is not good, you need to fire. So that keeps you guys constantly engaged. You know, so the market is, when people are right for the job, you need to retain them. If they are not right for the job, you need to develop them. So that keeps you busy. So I think they're quite right with that analysis, because at least in my career, I've hardly seen a time where I can say I stopped and took a breath. It has always been a huge roller coaster ride and an interesting one at it. So if you look at the sectoral analysis also, but interestingly, engineering and R&D has gone down. You know, so it's quite in line with what we as novices pick up from the market, the trends. Even the numbers show relative. Now, look at just this city-wise scenario. Delhi hiring is actually there. Mumbai has slowed down. Bangalore is there. Calcutta low. Chennai low. Hyderabad there. So which means what? Another message pick up for all of you guys is, if you can, and your life allows you, don't get picky. Mujhe job Delhi mein hi chahiye. Mujhe Bombay mein hi chahiye. I know people do that. At an entry level, for the first job, pick up what comes to your hand. Be flexible about your jobs if you can, till the market settles down and you have more opportunities and you have more choices which you can actively exert. So, a quick SWOT for you. The SWOT is, of 2012, as per our understanding, is more jobs will be in India. We will have jobs. That's a good news. So it's not that the market has dried up or you're going to fall flat on your face. So that's good news to all of us. Good news to us at HR, because we'll keep hiring and not have to fire, hopefully. Yeah? And the growth of the technology will help reach out to employees, source talent for niche roles. So technology will become an enabler for hiring, which has already become, but it's going to only get more focused. There'll be more alignment between the recruitment segment and the industry. So what are institutes doing now? Actively engaging with industry. I don't remember in our times as in MBAs that many conferences, summits ever happened. I think now institutes are rigorously engaging with the industry, rigorously engaging with the hiring teams in industries and looking at placement for their students. So that's the good, there's more alignment likely to happen. And of course, there's going to be maturity of recruitment practices, and the Indian market is going to be very much there, but there's going to be an investment climate that's going to get looked at. The weakness could be, now please hear this, it's for, again, for most of you sitting out here, domain expertise would be required. So if you're a marketing professional, please understand you need to know and understand marketing. Please don't expect organizations and companies to teach you that. We're not there to teach you the 4 Ps of marketing. Sorry for being upfront about it. That is what you should have acquired 2 years in your education. We are not here to teach you how to probably write an email. You should have acquired it during your 2 years at your educational institute or in the 15 years of your education career, 15, 20, whatever years of your education. We are not there to teach you how to dress up. You should have acquired it by then. We are here to teach you, if you understand basics of marketing and sales, we are here to help you finalize those skills. We are there to help you use that knowledge that you've acquired in that space there and build expertise on that. But don't expect us to teach you, like HR, I have actually met, and I must share this, not from your institute, but from other institute students come up and say, you know what, aap to hai na, mujhe sikha dengi. Sorry guys, you got it wrong. मैं सिखा दूंगी वो जो आपको नहीं पता है, जो आपको पता होना चाहिए, वो आपको पता होना चाहिए. वो मैं नहीं आपको बैठ कर सिखाऊंगी. And I can assure you, many organizations will have the same view of that. So, किताबों को पढ़िए, उसमें इतनी बुरी बात नहीं है. And another thing I want to share here is that I do hear a lot of people say, and I had a colleague of mine who said that today, कि MBAs में जो पढ़ाया जाता है, वो actually, you know, मैम market में relevant नहीं होता है. आपको किसने ये बात कही है? उससे पहले मुझे मिलाइए. किसने ये बात बोली है कि MBA इंस्टीट्यूट्स में जो पढ़ाया जाता है वो रियल लाइफ में रेलेवेंट नहीं है? जिसने वो बोला है, हो सकता है उसके एक्सपीरियंस में ऐसे हो. आई एम विलिंग टू टॉक टू दैट पर्सन, डिबेट विद दैट पर्सन एंड अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दैट पर्सन व्हाई दैट पर्सन मेड दैट स्टेटमेंट. बट इन माय ओन एक्सपीरियंस एंड मेनी अदर प्रोफेशनल्स दैट आई हैव मेट, again please hear what I say very carefully. Academics is important. Academics, your conceptual knowledge is important for your growth. If it were not important, we would have hired graduates directly from the colleges. Organizations would not come to MBA institutes if we did not need the knowledge you acquired at the MBA institutes. Please understand that. We could have picked graduates. We don't pick graduates. We come to education institutes like yours to pick up people because we believe that you have the knowledge required to do the job. We will add the experience to your knowledge. So, for those of you who believe that MBA educations are just papers that you need to have to build your career, maybe this is a wake-up call for you guys. Please remember, it's the knowledge that's going to differentiate you from the rest of the others. Okay? So, there is an absence of course. These are other challenges. What you should look at, however, is the opportunities that the market provides. The opportunities are mid-sized RPO for mid-sized companies. There is an unorganized sector which is moving into organized sector. So let's say you don't get a job in a pharmaceutical company, which could be a dream company, or in a FMCG company. Can you look at newer sectors? Are you willing to explore sectors which have not been premium? Because now they may be the sunrise sectors in India. So are you making conscious choices there? Employer branding is going to be there, but if you look at it, that SMEs across industries could be employment generators. Would you be willing to look at SMEs, or would you only run behind branded organizations? So think of those things that I'm throwing up to you and make very conscious choices regarding your career here. So this is a small spot. I'm sure you've gone through this. And another, if you look at the hiring trends, look at the number of word of mouth. 20% of jobs are going through word of mouth today. There was a time when 70% of hiring was through recruitment consulting firms. Today it's 36. 24% is word of mouth reference. इसको देख लो, इसको मिल लो, इससे बात करके देख लो, हो सकता है ये आपका काम कर सकता है. Recruitment agencies, job portals, sorry, I got the number wrong, that's the recruitment portals. Recruitment agencies, consultants, job fairs, print, social, professional sites and networks. So the hiring is changing. So maybe as students, you need to look at all of these avenues for finding an opportunity for yourself. And of course, there are emerging trends. As I said, the emerging trend is the social media, consumerization of technology, because don't be surprised if you said, don't come and don't fly in for an interview. Just log in and through a Skype and talk to us. Do it. But don't think because you are through a Skype, what you wear doesn't matter, or what you say doesn't matter. It equally matters. It's just that the medium has changed. Recruitment is more of a marketing tool, and this is for the HR professionals here. Remember, you're constantly going to be marketing your organizations to prospective candidates and employees. And of course, this is one thing I wanted to say. If, God forbid, some of you find yourself not getting the right opportunities, be open to flexi staffing. Be open to working on contract. These were taboos a few years back, but today they are absolutely accepted and respected ways of working. So flexi staffing is something which is okay. Because, you may ask why. There was a time when people joined organizations and they stayed with you for about 5 years, 10 years. Because if I have so much of candidate pools with me, who am I going to actually take in the finally? Finally, whom am I going to hire? The best of the lot. Because sources are huge today. So as I said, flexi staffing is not a bad option for first-time job seekers. So if you have a taboo about it, and if you're not able to, let's say, God forbid, you're not able to find a regular job in a regular sort of an organization, maybe you should consider this flexi option. It is not a bad thing. I feel very bad when I see youngsters having come out of MBA institutes. I have known personally people who have sat at home for 2 years, but have refused to take up jobs which were not their ideal jobs. Can you please tell me what's an ideal job? Which gives me the salary I want, which helps me buy my first house very fast in the first 2-3 years, which helps me have a car in the first year. Yeah? What is the ideal job? बहुत पैसा मिलता है. Provide you learning. Oh, that's very ideal answer. I hope everyone looked at it that way. Yes, we shall provide you learning. Anything else? Which gives you a platform to grow, basically. Yeah, of course, it has to be financially viable for you to do that, but it helps you grow. So look at it in that way. So be open. If, God forbid, you're not able to find the regular channels, be open to flexi staffing channels. So the conclusion is that I think organizations are themselves finding it challenging to find the right talent. And I go back to the word right here. Yeah, and there are multiple ways in which they're trying to meet that challenge that they face. And as prospective employees and as candidates to the organization, please remember, you have multiple channels that you can explore. So maybe, I don't know whether your placement committee members can become more creative about it. Maybe they should be blogging more. Maybe they should be actually creating more LinkedIn networks or whatever. I don't know. Maybe they need to be doing that, apart from meeting up people. So there are more unconventional channels that have opened up. So please make use of the best opportunities that you get there. And, I'm beyond time.